Indulge me for a second while we talk about dark social. My name's Daryl. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Agorapulse. As a marketer, there are certain things we can measure, right? We can measure events. We can measure pay-per-click. I mean, think about your CFO. Your CFO, your CEO, they want to know exactly how you performed on your paid ads, pay-per-click. We should measure social media. I mean, social media is the number one channel we use anymore to promote anything we're doing, to make awareness, to drive community. But we fall back on, likes and shares. I call them vanity metrics. What the CFO cares about. And remember, the marketer's best friend is the CFO because they're the ones who giveth the budget and taketh away. So we should measure social media. In other words, what's the revenue we drive because of social media? Likes and shares are interesting, but revenues will count. But what's really interesting, and it's the bane of the existence of every CMO, is dark social. So what do I mean by that? Well, stats say that over 80% of all shares, of all leads coming in, are dark. Dark, what does that mean? That means that we don't know, we are unable to attribute the source of that lead. How did we create that lead? Why is that? Well, because usually any content we make or any conversations that take place in our communities, in our tribes, they're shared via IM or direct message or by social media or by email. And so you don't have a lead source and you often don't have the UTM codes. So they're going to you and you don't know how you created it. That's dark social. Said another way, 80% of what you do today, you are unable to measure. Dark social. So the question is, how do you turn a negative into a positive? And that's the power of dark social. Dark social is recognizing that whatever you say, whatever thing you have is helpful, whatever content you have is going to change somebody's life, knowing it's going to be shared, because that's why you made it in the first place, is that you need to go to where they are. So I can go a pay-per-click and I can have a UTM code and I can track that. But in dark social, I accept that my content will be shared without attribution. So what do? I do videos. I do social media. I do webinars. I do public speaking. I make all this content that is intentionally designed to be shared because that is how we source our short list of solutions or of vendors. We rely upon word of mouth, that virtual word of mouth from our friends, from our colleagues, from our communities. So you as a marketer need to embrace that. Now, the only way you can truly measure dark social, and this is going back to basics, is on a forum. On a forum, you can ask a question, how did you hear of us? And if they say, well, I heard Daryl speak at this trade show, or I heard Daryl on a podcast, then you now know your dark social is working. So from your strategy, dark social needs to be a key component in what you budget and what you execute. You need to make shareable content. You need to appear at places where other people will see it and share it. Dark social is everything. And ironically, open up by saying that your CFO is your best friend when it comes to marketing. That's the hardest thing to show the CFO an ROI on. So how do you manage that? You tell them that you're not going to be able to measure all this and you explain it to them. Having the field on the forum shows that you're making a best effort, but it's up to you to educate those around you who influence and control your budgets and your outcomes so that they understand that some things you can measure, some things you should measure, and some things you'll never be able to measure. The things you'll never be able to measure are the things that will make you the most successful. That's dark social.